Welcome back to another edition of Cook, Don't Be Lazy. So have you ever wanted to eat like a king but you're on a jester's salary? Well today, yes, you can eat like a king. Let me show you how. On today's menu we're going to make lobster. Actually we're going to make poor man's lobster. We're going to use cod as our substitute. Now how the heck does cod translate into lobster? It's the way you cook it. I love me some lobster but I can't always afford it. So, I learned this a while back. We're going to use frozen cod. So what you want to do, open up your packages. It's got to be frozen. There's a reason why. But open up your frozen packages of cod. And we're going to boil it. The reason we want them frozen is so that when we boil it, the cod doesn't fall apart easily. We don't want it to fall apart. This one gave me 5 pieces. Normally, out of these packages, I end up with 4 pieces. Must be my lucky day. Got 5 pieces. So while you're doing this, you can already start a pot of water boiling. Get yourself a pot of boiling water. And once your water starts boiling, throw in your frozen cod. Look at that. Remember my earlier videos? I told you, I love using my tongs. Use these tongs for everything. Anyway, throw in your frozen cod into a pot of boiling water. We're going to let that boil for about 4 minutes or so. Now the reason we're boiling it is you don't want to skip this step. The reason you're boiling it, it changes the texture of the fish. And it's going to give it more of a lobster type texture. After we're done boiling it for 3 to 4 minutes or so, we're going to broil it in the oven. So I'm going to let this sit for 3 or 4 minutes and we'll be back when it's ready to go. Alright, 3 minutes later, this is about to overflow just in time. Turn off the stove. Never ever ever walk away from a pot of boiling water. There's our fish wanting to fall apart but not quite yet. I'm going to take this off. Alright, so we need to get yourself a container of butter. Microwave it to melt it. Now you can use that margarine if you want, but that's oil based. I want real butter. I want good flavor for my fake lobster. Actually, let me correct that. You don't want to use fake butter on your fake lobster. You want to use real butter on your fake lobster. There you go. Real butter, fake lobster. No need to cheapen up our lobster here, our fake lobster. So melt your butter. Don't forget to check on it. Doesn't take too long to melt butter. Don't walk away. We're looking at about a minute total time or so. Minute and a half. There you go, melted butter. Get yourself a roasting pan. Something with little legs. That's gonna keep, we're gonna put the fish on top. That's gonna keep the fish off the bottom so that if any liquids accumulate, it's not touching the fish. That way the oven can cook underneath as well. What we're gonna do is slightly oil up this little rack to prevent the fish from sticking to it. So lightly oil your wired rack. And then we're going to put our fish if your fish breaks apart, it's okay. So take your fish from your pot, put it over to your rack. Now, had you put in your thawed fish to boil, this would be breaking up a heck of a lot more. So you always want to put frozen fish into your pot of water if you're going to be making this. Alright. Now, we're going to take our melted butter and we're going to brush on our butter onto our fish. And I'll be honest with you, this kind of looks like a cross between fish and pieces of baked potato. Don't worry, I promise you it's going to look a little bit better and taste a hell of a lot better when we're done. It's going to be great tasting. Alright, so get some decent amount of butter on it. We don't want it to dry out. And let's turn on our oven to broil. Also, we need some seasonings. We are going to use, I love me some Creole Seasoning. This gives it a little kick. If you like it spicy, add a lot. You don't really like it spicy, add a little. And some Sazon. You know, for Sazon, I don't know if Sazon has flavor or not. I've never used it for the purpose of flavor. I've always used it for the purpose of coloring. So does Sazon have flavor? Beats me. But I use it mainly for coloring purposes. So Sazon, Creole Seasoning. Let's show you guys what that looks like. That's already looking good. We're going to throw this in a preheated oven. Set your oven to broil. And we're going to broil it for about 5 minutes. 4 to 5 minutes or so. 4 to 5 minutes. Not 45 minutes. You're going to end up with burnt lobster. You're going to end up with charcoal. 4 to 5 minutes. Got it? Set it in your oven. So how do we know? Do we set it in there for 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 6 minutes? Easy. Eyeball it. Actually, if you've got bigger pieces, you want to leave it in there just a little bit longer. If you've got a ton of smaller pieces, you want to leave it in there a little bit shorter. But it's pretty much hit or miss. So I'm going to go ahead and check on mine. Looks good to go. I am going to put in, just for a little coloring, a little bit of parsley flakes. And then I'm going to plate up. And there you have it. From frozen food to a fabulous feast. Great tasting poor man's lobster. Until next time, remember, cook, don't be lazy.